This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. On this week's show, well, most of the time the show is about marketing and sales, but we also talk about being the best you that you can be so that you get more work, more clients, more sales, more profits, all that good stuff. And today's show falls in the category of being the best HR consultant that you can be, because we are talking about a service that you can share with your clients to help them have the best business possible. Specifically, we're talking about CommuniKate Design, in which Kate, who's here with us today, takes complicated processes and concepts and makes them easy to understand using graphics, designs, and animations. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's great to have you here. Obviously, we met at Atomicon, which was really cool, right?
Very cool. Yeah, it was really nice getting to meet everyone, in person and just have a really nice time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was so chaotic as well, because obviously we met in the networking bit before the event, and then at the actual event, I swear I spent about 2 minutes with you, and that was it.
Yeah, it's a huge one, isn't it? But I didn't manage to sign your shirt in time, which was good. Your excellent networking shirt. So
that was the best idea possible, actually.
Did you get lots of signatures?
I got loads.
Amazing.
So for context, for those of you listening along at home, we were supposed to wear a jazzy shirt, and I do not own any jazzy shirts. And Kate said, well, just take an old shirt and then get people to write on it. And I was like, wow. So that's what I did.
I think all my best ideas involve felt tips. It's just because what I do for a living. So
wonderful idea. I loved it. Very popular. So Kate, pleasure to have you with us. Tell us a bit about yourself. You give us a brief introduction to yourself, that 2-minute elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do? Why should we care?
Sure, absolutely. So hi everyone, I'm Katie and my business is CommuniKate Design. I am an accessible visual communicator. That means I help people to tell people things. So I am really passionate about helping businesses, freelancers, organizations to tell other people what they need to know, what they want to know, because I think that sometimes when you're an expert in what you do, you can use complicated language or talk in a way that people can't really understand if they are not the same expert that you are. So I come in and strip out the kind of complicated information so people can understand it. But the other thing that I do is I turn, like you said in my introduction, complicated information into pictures, videos, illustrations, designs, to basically make it more accessible for people that find big chunks of text impossible to access. So that could be people who are neurodivergent, disabled, have a different first language, have low literacy, or also people that are just stressed, in pain or tired. And we've all been those things. So I basically help organizations by turning complicated information into pictures so more people can understand it.
Love that. Yeah, that's awesome. Especially it's an important message for my audience, for HR consultants, because obviously HR consultants, they are concerned with getting the best out of employees. And how can we do that if they don't understand what's going on?
Absolutely. I think it helps people feel seen and included as well. If they can access information in a way that they understand it, they feel thought about. And that's in terms of both inclusive language and also the way that you're presenting that, giving them a choice about how they can access the stuff that's really important for them. So whether they're starting a new job or they're already in an organization, they can feel confident that they can access the information that they need to do their job well.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk. Let's take that and let's talk about the advantages of what you do. Because obviously, as you say, you take complicated information and then you make it easier to understand. So How does that help an organisation? Let's discuss some of those advantages of what you do.
Absolutely. So it obviously depends on the audience, and that's why I'm always going to be advocating for offering choice. But if we were talking about sighted people accessing information, 65%.
What's a sighted person?
So
Sorry to jump in.
That's okay. So someone who isn't partially sighted or blind. So
right.
Obviously those are two kinds of disabilities. And I think that something I'm always trying to consciously do is use the most accepted language in those instances. So I think it's most commonly used now to refer to disabled and non-disabled people rather than kind of terms that have been used previously, basically. So so sighted people who have full vision, for example, would be able to access kind of images and videos and see them fully, whereas partially sighted people might have some difficulty with accessing images or videos, which is some of the kind of additional things that I think about when I'm creating my work, which is why I do something like audio descriptions on a video, image descriptions and alt text, which we can talk about a little bit more later as well. But for people that can see images, they're really helpful for visual learners. They've also been proven to help us remember more things, both in terms of images being more memorable themselves than words. So that's really helpful for people if they're trying to recall information later on. 90% of the information that we put to our brains is visual, as for sighted people. So that's kind of how things are stored in a lot of people's brains. And there's something
called... they say a picture paints 1,000 words, right?
Exactly. So I think it's just, and it overcomes language barriers as well. So I use an example fairly often of when you go to, say, an airport in another country, if you're looking for your luggage, you're looking for that luggage icon to go and find it. So even if you don't speak the local language, you know what you're looking for because you can see the picture. So that's why then my kind of work of turning complicated information into pictures means that more people can see, an image that's looking at someone being supported by an organization. I can turn that into an icon so that people can kind of look through, say, an employee handbook and go, right, this is a section on pay, this is a section on parental leave or, caregiving leave, whatever that might be. So, yeah.
I really like that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Because as you say, people are all different, right? So everyone learns and receives information in different ways. And it's important to include everyone. Otherwise, people are left out.
Exactly. So I think my work, I'm really passionate about focusing on those people that are marginalised by society, whether that's communities or individuals, and making sure that they feel included through kind of the work I do. So thinking about representation in the animations that I make, I'm thinking about the characters that I'm using, making sure they are diverse and representative of the real world rather than just one particular kind of person. In the kind of copywriting that I do, because I do simplified copywriting for people to help them strip out that kind of unnecessary information while still conveying the same message. I'm thinking about inclusive language around pronouns, for example, because everyone has them. So it's so much easier to use non-gendered pronouns because then you're including everybody. Things like that.
Interesting. Okay. I like that we're talking about the copywriting there, because that's not something that I'd thought about. Because, I was thinking, I've met Katie. She does some great stuff. She takes, this big chunk of text and then puts it into an image for people. When I worked in HR, we had policies. And at the back of the policies, there was flowcharts. I used to love that because then that makes it, that's a straightforward process, right? Still a bit of wording, but obviously, it makes it a bit clearer what the process is. But then when you're talking about copywriting as well, because that's something else that you can bring to people's clients, right? Because they want more, for example, my HR consultants, my clients, they want more clients, but their clients want more clients as well, right? So we can bring this stuff into websites. Is that right?
Absolutely, that's it. So website reviews and kind of copywriting for websites is something that I offer because I really like an analogy. So I think of sometimes an organization's website can be a bit like the fridge in the office where stuff's kind of been left there and someone doesn't even work there anymore and they're kind of moldy sandwiches just loitering in the fridge. And I come in and go, okay, a lot of this stuff is looking really unappetizing to the people that are coming to your website. Some of it doesn't even kind of fit with who you are anymore. It's all out of date. It looks a bit gross. Let's think about actually what people are coming to your website for, and let's make sure that information is front and center and presented really nicely and really simply, because people only spend some really shocking statistic. It's a matter of seconds basically on a website to make a decision before they are going somewhere else. So you need to tell them exactly what they want to know straight away, in really simple language. I'm definitely not anti-words. They're really important as well to say about offering choice. I'm not going, let's never use words, but if you're going to use words, just use really simple ones, because it helps with cognitive load. So basically, the more complex the language is and the more words you use, the harder it is for people to process that if they're unfamiliar with the words or if they're just having to read vast volumes of text. The same goes for screen reader users. So that could be blind or partially sighted people, but also some neurodivergent people use screen readers, which read the text aloud to them when they're accessing, say, a website. And the more text you've got on there, they have to sit and listen to that. You can't skip through that, because you don't know what you're missing when you skip, and you don't know where the important information is coming. So you're basically sort of holding someone just in this sort of I was going to say hostage. That feels a bit unnecessary. Maybe we can give another term. Basically, if you've got a lot of text on your website, you are taking up that person's time if they're a screen reader user until they've got to the information that they really want. And more often than not, they're probably going to go to somebody else's website where they've got that information straight away.
Yeah. Well, people click on someone's website, and this is something I know about, so I can contribute here. You're about 2-3 seconds before someone clicks off, because if you people's brains, they are built to keep people safe, keep people alive. And your brain won't let you invest tons of energy reading through someone's website if it hasn't got an indication of whether or not it's right or wrong. And if it's not right, it's wrong. The brain's just like, nope, somewhere else. So you've got like 2 or 3 seconds. So yeah, and it's interesting that you say like the pictures. This is something I bang on to my clients about, right? If they have a niche, and their website I don't know, they work with healthcare providers or something, and their website is covered in healthcare provider images. Yeah. A healthcare provider, they instantly know they're in the right place just because of the images.
Absolutely. You say they can see that and think, oh yeah, this is something I'm familiar with. Absolutely.
Bingo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sparks off in their brain. I'm familiar with this. Okay, you've got my attention.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how else would a HR consultant benefit from the services that you offer in terms of for themselves or potentially for their clients? So we've got obviously sharing big blocks of text into more manageable and interesting ways. What else have we got, Katie? Talk to us a little bit.
So obviously, say there's lots of different people in the world and they've all got different needs. So when I'm writing things, when I'm creating things, whatever kind of design that might be, I'm thinking about, for example, with designing images and videos, thinking about things like color contrast as well, because while color palettes, I'm a big fan of all the colors. Honestly, if I could make everything bright and rainbow, I absolutely would. But bright colors just aren't that accessible. It's a fun fact that before I started my business, lilac was my least favorite color, and now that is my brand color because it's one of the most accessible. So sunshine yellow sadly is not. So otherwise my branding would be, I know, but that is okay. I've made my peace with it, because you know what, it means more people can see the things that I'm.
Because I would picture you are a sunshine yellow. If I had to pick a color for you, that'd be you.
Yeah, I'm the human embodiment of sunshine yellow, but yeah, I can't do it for my branding because it means that so it's not the case for everybody, but basically I'm trying to pick things that are the most accessible for the most people, because one size is never going to fit everybody. But some autistic people find bright yellow and bright red really overstimulating, really overwhelming. A lot to look at for a long period of time, whereas pastel colors, thinking about the contrast of those, and obviously with the text laid over them, for example, you want to make sure that there's a really good contrast there so people can read the text against the background. Pastel colors are more accessible because they're not so bright and overstimulating and kind of in your face. So those are the sorts of things I'll be thinking about as well when I'm designing things. The statistics around this, again, are kind of incredible. So particularly so this is a global statistic, but 1 in 12 males are colorblind. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, that is a lot of males. I remember my friend was colorblind. We used to play snooker and pool.
How many
didn't
times
work
did you
out
win
well.
before you realised it might be something?
I mean, it was fun at first, tricking him up. But after a while, you have to be honest, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and there's loads of different kinds as well. So as I say, I'm trying to think about that when I'm creating designs as well, because there's lots of different colour pairings that can be difficult for people to differentiate between. So that's also why if I'm designing things or I'm looking at people's websites, I'm advocating for not using just colour to show when something's important, because if someone is colourblind, or if they're, looking at it or kind of accessing it via a screen reader doesn't know that it's blue. So they're not going to know it's important, or they're not going to know that green bit is the important part. So you need to make sure that if you're sharing information it's important, you're telling people it's important in like multiple ways, basically, that sort of thing. So
how interesting. Because this is, you've just reminded me, your website, like you say, it's, I remember talking about this to you. It's white with black letters, and then obviously there are various colours or whatever. And I remember thinking that's like, it's really easy to access, really easy to read. I remember thinking about my website, black and yellow, and thinking, God, I've made my website so difficult.
I guess I do get it's really tricky. So my website has got a slightly off-white background, because basically my website and the work that I make is the combination of all these different things that I've learned in my journey to finding out more about accessibility, because I didn't know any of these things 6 years ago before I started my company. So it's all through learning. So when I found out that slightly off-white background and black text is a really great combination, because it's got high contrast, but also the kind of off-white background means it hasn't got a really high glare if people are looking at it as well, because staring at a bright white screen for a long time, regardless of whether you're partially sighted, blind, or fully sighted, that's going to be something that might cause issues for people just from looking at it for a long time. So that's why I kind of adjust these things as I go. It's always, there's new stuff to learn all the time, which I really enjoy. But that's also why hopefully when I'm kind of doing this work with my clients, I always get feedback about how kind and positive I am, because I'm not coming in going, I can't believe you didn't know this, because there was a time when I didn't know it either, and how could you, or would you, if you've never come across it before. So all my work is a focus of, there's an amazing Maya Angelou, I've just pronounced that wrong, I think, Maya Angelou, I want to say, quote, that says, once you know better, do better, which I really love. Yeah, so powerful. Definitely you need to credit her, because that's amazing. That is not me. But I love that as a, okay, so you didn't know this before, and that's fine. But I would hope that once people find this information out, it's a chance to pause and think, actually, is there something that I can do to make my information, or whatever it might be, a bit more accessible to people that need to know what I'm trying to tell them.
Oh, I really like that. That's a very good quote. Because when you said Maya Angelou, I was thinking of that quote that everyone shares everywhere. People won't remember what you do, they remember how you make them feel or whatever. But
that's true. But then I guess also that kind of ties in with this one, because if people don't feel included, they will remember that feeling. So I guess if they're working at an organisation where they don't feel like their needs are being taken into account, then they probably won't work there anymore. If they're kind of not able to access things they need, anything around reasonable adjustments, basically, as well.
Yes. I'm glad you've said that, because my brain was starting to think, we've had loads of great information here. How do we pull this together for a HR consultant who's listening along? So I guess before we go with some takeaway tips for them, let's summarize. Why should when should, because I'm understanding from you, the benefit that you provide, main benefit, overall benefit, is that you ensure that everyone is catered for, to make sure that their staff, everyone, can produce the best possible work, which is amazing. So, yeah, where am I going with this? I am going to, when would be a good time for HR consultant to get in touch with you?
I mean, I can do things from scratch, like I can come in at the start of a process if it's a new thing, but I can also review existing things as well, very kindly, like a very kind critical friend to come in and kind of look at things that already exist, because obviously these organisations are often going to have things in place already. I'm also always advocating for getting, kind of peer reviews and focus groups together of the people that are part of that organisation. So as you're saying, from an HR perspective, there'll be members of staff that I would love to involve in the process. So lots of my clients I've worked with before, for a healthcare provider, for example, we're getting some of their patients involved in feedback around the process if we're making a new thing. It's nice. Because, I want to make sure that, I think that the benefit I bring a lot of the time is that I have an outsider's perspective. So I'm often coming to this topic, whatever it might be, because I work with lots of different services, with about as much knowledge as their clients might have, which is often, it's brand new to me. So I come in and thankfully I have the confidence to ask as many questions as I need to make sure I really understand something, because I need to understand it so I can tell other people. But then once you're kind of embedded in that world, I still want to test it with their target audience, which is going to be members of staff at these organisations, but also those organisations' clients as well, because if they're putting out messaging, then obviously for their customer base, that needs to be inclusive as well. So having people there that are real people that are experiencing this is a great way to also find out if there's anything that's being missed, because people have got different lived experiences. I'm doing constant research to try and make sure that I'm thinking about everybody when I'm doing my work, but there will be people out there who have got experiences that have never been considered before, because they've got a particular combination of characteristics that makes it difficult for them to access a certain thing, because that's the way society structured it, not through any fault of their own. It's the social versus medical model of disability? I don't know. I
have no idea what that is.
That's okay. Again, it's something I've learned. So basically, the medical model of disability suggests that someone is disabled because of the condition that they have, whatever that might be, if they're a wheelchair user or they're blind. Whereas the social model of disability suggests that they are disabled by society. That's the one that I believe. So basically, a wheelchair user isn't disabled. It's because there's no ramp to get into the building. The ramp is the problem, not the person in the wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
Basically, yeah. So changing the model to include people that have disabilities, for example, makes it more inclusive for them.
Got you. So I guess this is talking more towards reasonable adjustments, Equality Act, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. That's it. Because so I think I talk about, all of this in a very kind of nice, friendly, because I want just people to be included, because why wouldn't you want people to be included and feel like they're seen at work and thought about and having a nice experience, and their organisation is listening to them, making sure they have what they need. But also there are laws in place. You need to be doing all these things, because lots of the kind of areas that I support, lots of the characteristics I support fall within the Equality Act. So it's really important to be thinking about those just all the time, to be honest. But in terms of when to kind of bring me in for stuff, it's at any point. But I would suggest for people, anytime they think about making a new process, think about accessibility and inclusion from the start. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to build it in as you go, because otherwise you end up with, and this is no criticism of your website, but if you've built a brand, for example, that you absolutely love and that is your baby, and I totally get it, that's your the brand that you love, or an organization has built this website or this app that they love, then you think about accessibility, you're probably going to have to unpick some of that, and that's going to feel really sad, and also it takes a lot of time and resources and so on as well. Whereas thinking about it kind of up front with all of this stuff, and I would also so always advocate for kind of testing decisions with the people that are going to be affected by them. That's going to flag a whole bunch of stuff that in the long run is going to save you time and money, because you've already kind of considered it and built it in. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true. It's so interesting that you're sharing this, because I bring it back to a marketing perspective. That's immediately where my brain went to. Yeah. I'm aware of all this HR stuff. I used to work in HR, right? But my brain is now thinking, I share most of my content as written writing, and I'm going through at the time of recording podcast series about doing video, because then that gives you the whole visual, audio, but no read and write actually.
If you include captions, I would say include captions.
Captions.
Yeah. So if you include, you do either way. So open captions are the ones where they're always visible. So I normally make those in my animation, so they are part of the video, so they are always shown. Basically, I allow space for those, and I write them in at the bottom so people can follow along. those are really good. And you have got the written option so people can read along. And that's good for different contexts as well. So in terms of accessibility, there are 3 kind of contexts that are recognized for that. Microsoft actually did those. So there's permanent, temporary, and situational. So this is part of the reason why it's good to make stuff accessible, because people's needs around accessibility change constantly. So permanent ones wouldn't, because if someone has a disability, and more of us are going to get disabilities as we get older as well, because it's the only group where actually more people are going to become disabled, because the older you get, the more likely you are to become disabled. But so permanent disability, that's just a continuous, this is what I need, absolutely fair. Temporary might be if someone's got a cataract that's going to be operated on, or they've broken their ankle, or kind of other things like that. But there's also situational stuff as well. And part of that's around, say, if you're in a loud environment, or if you're somewhere where you can't access audio. So for videos, it's really good to put captions in, because someone might not be able to watch it with the kind of sound on anyway, or if someone's on the train.
Yes.
In that situation, to be honest, I'm hoping they're watching it with the sound off. I don't want everyone on the train watching it with the sound on. So that's kind of another way that you can offer that, so people can still engage with it, which is good from a marketing perspective, because if you have captions on a video, I think people, it's either they watch it for like 12% longer, or they finish at 12% more. Basically, it increases the amount of engagement with that video if you've got captions, because people can.
Yeah, I don't doubt that as well, because the message will sink in as well, because not only are you hearing it and seeing it, but you're also writing it, so then you're covering the whole gambit.
Definitely.
Love it. Okay, so just before we wrap things up, takeaway message for the audience, for HR consultants, what would you say to them? Let's have a little shout out. Where does someone get hold of you?
Oh, that's a good one to start with. So
important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Katie Merrien from CommuniKate Design, Kate with a K, because I love a pun. So you can find my website at communicate.design, or you can email me at hello@communicate.design. I can never remember my phone number, but it's on my website, and I'm also on LinkedIn. It
shouldn't be on your website. Why would you want random people ringing?
Oh, there's my work one. That's okay. It's my work one. That's all right. Also, I turn it off at the weekends because there are no animation emergencies. So
evenings as well, I would hope.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can wait, definitely. So, but anyway, so people can text me or call me, because if I'm not offering choice of how to contact me, then I'm not doing a good job of offering choice.
Fair enough. So
yeah, I've got a form on my website, but I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Totally.
You're everywhere.
I know.
I find that tiring.
I'm not on there, I'm not on all of them all the time. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Someone told me I should join TikTok, but I think I'm a bit too old for that now, to be honest. So I'm going to stick with those.
Oh, don't be ageist. Right? You've got to be inclusive.
That's true. I do have to be inclusive. Let's cut that bit out.
Yeah. So we've got the website. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, I guess, all that remains now is, what is your lasting message? What do you want people to take away from our wonderful conversation?
I would say that the world is wired, we are naturally driven to communicate in writing, but the writing as a default is really inaccessible to lots of people, whether that is neurodivergent people, including people with dyscalculia or dyslexia. So dyscalculia is the numerical equivalent of dyslexia. People who have low literacy as well, which is about 14 million adults in the UK.
Jesus.
I know.
Is that like 1 in 5?
It's 30%, apparently.
Wow.
UK adults have low literacy. And again, that's just, so if you're basically sharing things in writing, that's going to make it really difficult for those people to access the information they need to understand in HR, context, what they're signing as a contract, what they're meant to be doing for their job. And how they can access help if they need it. So sharing things in multiple formats basically makes things more accessible to more people.
And make it more fun as well, right? Like imagine if you've got an employee contract and it's not just boring black and white and someone's got this cool. That's a really cool element of someone's brand for their company.
Thank you. And I promise it can be done. One of my proudest achievements in my business is that last year I turned a youth centre's data privacy policy, which is about 12 pages of, and we're talking GDPR, we're talking IP addresses, into a 4-minute animation that still has all the information in it, but now the young people that go to their events actually watch it, know what they're consenting to around sharing their data, and they enjoy it. So I feel like if I can make GDPR interesting to teenagers, I'm winning.
That's fascinating. That's fantastic, because no one can make GDPR interesting.
Thank you. I think maybe I'll just change all my strap lines to be like, I once made GDPR interesting. So just let me know what to do.
That is a cool story. Fresh out. You should have that as a story on your website.
Oh yeah,
animation and video and subtitles, all of it. Colours.
All of it. Well done. Yeah, perfect. So yes, I would say share things in different formats so everyone can access them. And when you're creating anything for an organization where you're writing a document, basically be thinking about all the different kinds of people out there and the people that have different experiences and look different to you, because there's going to be so many other kind of things to consider alongside your own perspective as well. And
awesome. Love it. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I don't have any more questions. We know where to contact you. CommuniKate Design, Kate with a K for kilo.
That's right.
I know my phonetic alphabet.
Me too, but only because I had to stop saying N for Nicolas Cage on phone calls. So.
There's nothing wrong with saying N for Nicolas Cage.
No, there isn't. But it's amazing. I think it takes up a lot more time.
Well, true. Fair enough. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed learning about trying to make information more accessible to everyone so that everyone can partake and get the best out of them. And, partake, I think, is the most bit, isn't it? Cool.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Well, hopefully everyone at home, you've enjoyed listening along. As I say, if you need to get hold of Kate, you know where to do that. I'll include a link in the show notes. Thank you for listening along. And as ever, all that remains to be said is get marketing, because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Peninsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.